What's up, everybody? It's Dominic D'Angelo. I'm of adfreeshows.com, SEScoops.com, and OneTrueSportTV.com. I'm here flying solo for the moment being. Maybe Kevin Kellum might join us. If not, you're getting stuck with me. Robert is on assignment, so we will see him. I think we'll see him maybe next. Yeah, we'll see him next weekend, next Monday. So we'll get his full assessment of Royal Rumble and the whole shebang-a-bang. But either way, here to talk a little bit of the Dynamite, here to talk a little bit of the Hall of Fame, and maybe some other stuff floating around. But let's say hi to a few folks in the chat. We got David Ma saying, yes, I made it. Welcome, David. All Jake says, good morning, except to Mox. No one is enjoying his ride. We will talk about that for sure. Dre Owen says, happy Thursday. The main event was rough last night on Dynamite. And we also have Wrestling Old Head. Snoochie Boochie R&I. Heck yeah. And old Jake also adds that, Dre, I was live on PW Torch last night? And it ended. And we were like, wait, that was the end of the show? What the F? Pretty funny. Jeff Henninger says, I'm so excited for this Dynamite review. Happy Thursday, R&I. Triple E chimes in. Nice Sandow interview. Who's your favorite saint? Why not ask Marcus? Yeah. My favorite saint is Saint Francis of Assisi. He's the patron saint of animals, and there's something else he's the patron saint of that's pretty cool too. I can't remember what it is, but he's my favorite. I at some point want to get a tattoo of Saint Francis on my arm. We'll have to, we got to save up some money for that. Either way, oh, Pro Wrestling Times. Okay, LOL. So there we go. Oh shoot, I'm trying to get us on Robert's Twitter account right now. I accidentally screwed that up. I want to make sure. Okay, looks like we're on. I don't know. Seems like we're on right now. Either way, if somebody can check for me, are we live on Robert's Twitter? Excuse me. Woo! Okay. Well, guess what? Triple H is now going to be a WWE Hall of Famer. Two-time WWE Hall of Famer because he got in with DX. Makes sense, right? I mean, he deserves it. He was surprised by The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, and during a WWE Town Hall meeting, and was caught off guard apparently. And so, pretty cool moment. Good headline, I would say. You know, this is the Paul Levesque era, so for him to kind of now be in the thick of the action, everybody's familiarized with him as the head honcho, basically. Why not highlight him even further? It makes your company feel like a bigger deal. Triple H is a big deal, and so he's earned it, no doubt about it, in any facet you can kind of think of, from an in-ring standpoint, from a persona standpoint, from a creative standpoint, from a business standpoint. He understands it. It's great to have Triple H in the mix, at the helm of it all. You know, there's so much concern about like what the future of the company could hold when Vince was like trying to sell it, when Vince was in charge. Where was and it looked like Triple H was all but out of it. You know, he had the heart issues, and he was demoted from NXT, and it just was like, you know, he was at Vince's behest, basically. And so when it looked like everything was gone and Shawn Michaels was kind of operating NXT, thankfully, the way everything shifted, and, you know, you think about the unfortunate circumstances that surround, you know, the Vince McMahon allegations and things like that. Look, there is, it's good that Triple H is there. He is like the failsafe, I think, for pro wrestling fans. Like Triple E mentioned, I interviewed Damian Sandow, aka Aaron Stevens. Both were trained by Killer Kowalski. And I think him having those ties to somebody as classic and old school as Killer Kowalski, plus you incorporate his time in the Attitude Era as the Game, and then you know, with DX, and but his appreciation for all types of wrestling, particularly like even NWA and stuff like that. You know, he's got an appreciation for Arn and Tully, and, you know, names like that weren't necessarily highlighted on your WWE programming. He understands the pop culture ties to things, and everything to that effect. He is somebody that, from by all accounts, like people can go to and speak to and get input from. And then on top of it too, you have the oh my gosh, where was I going? You have the whole aspect of him and Nick Khan, almost like this tandem, where Nick Khan has facilitated so much of this outside of wrestling connections when it comes to the sporting ties, sponsorship ties. There's a lot that comes into play where they are like a 1-2 punch in a lot of ways. You also consider the fact that The Rock is on the board of directors, so you have, not only do you have The Rock in line there, but you have Triple H there too. So it's a good balance. It's two people that have an appreciation and love for the business. And Triple H, he's the game and he knows how to play the game. So it's cool to see him get this acknowledgement. I think he's a great headline name for the Hall of Fame. I think he is. You can fill it out with some really cool ones, I think, too. I hope Lex Luger gets in this year. I hope Sid gets posthumously inducted. Would be great. There's several names that you can kind of make this a cool moment and highlight it about. So I'm all for this. I think it's a good stuff. So pretty cool. Congratulations, Triple H. I'm sure we'll get Robert's thoughts on that as we carry on with the show week to week. Hey, by the way, I took a gander. February 12th will be our 1-year anniversary since I joined the show, since I joined Rumor and Innuendo. So mark your calendars. Maybe we'll try to do something special that day. If February 12th is an actual day of the week, a weekday, because then we can do something maybe kind of cool. Maybe I'll try to think of something neat to do on February. I'm like filibustering as I'm looking at the calendar here. February 12th is Wednesday, middle of the week. It's an AEW Dynamite Wednesday. Maybe we can do something cool for that. I don't know. But yeah, cool stuff. Let's talk about some things that were cool, some things that weren't as cool on AEW Dynamite. We start things off right off the bat. No pomp and circumstance. It's Will Ospreay versus Brian Cage, and this was a great match. Kevin Kellum and I yesterday talked about how Brian Cage has been kind of a regular presence on Dynamite on a relatively weekly basis. So it's cool to see him in this, and I think he did a good job. Him when Ospreay had a competitive match. Finish, I thought at first was kind of weird because they had Lance Archer hop on the apron or like put Ospreay's foot off the rope, and then Rick Knox didn't kick him out, and I was like, this is weird. Why are they doing this? And then you ultimately figure out that it was a way for Lance Archer to gang up on Will Ospreay with Brian Cage. I'll touch upon. Well, no, I'm going to add to this right now. I think the problem, the issue with all this is and this has been a consistent highlight of a lot of the matches on every Dynamite, is there's a surefire loser. This person, if you follow the AEW formula, this person is not going to win. Now, I don't think anybody expected Brian Cage to necessarily win this match, but would it really hurt Ospreay if he lost? Would it? I don't think so. I think he's a pretty good Teflon babyface. And you elevate somebody like a Brian Cage who competed against Kenny Omega, lost against Kenny. What if he gets to win against Ospreay? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like there's so much predictability. It was an issue with WWE and within the Vince McMahon era here in 2019, 2020. It's just strange. And then so we see that Kenny Omega's attacked backstage. Ospreay ultimately gets the help from Kenny, and then the numbers game comes into play. So we have Takeshita and my gosh, Kyle Fletcher coming out, and so it's 4-on-2. They take out Osprey and Kenny, and yeah, the continuation of this. Look, I like the alliance of these guys together. It was squeezed in one segment last week, and just in hype for Grand Slam, I think that's a fair match to have on Grand Slam. But it's also like there's bigger things that you should maybe be considering when it comes to this stuff. But and like it's not really necessarily benefiting um any party in this if you think about it. If they're just getting lost, if the Don Callis family is just losing to Osprey and Omega and Osprey are just a tandem right now. It's kind of fun to see them together, but it's also like, where are they going with this? Do they take out the Don Callis family? Okay, they're feuding with Takeshita and Fletcher ultimately for this, but it's just like that's not really an end game for these two. And then in turn, you're just diminishing the overall vibe of the Don Callis family. So I don't know how I necessarily feel about this moving in, but I think it's a fair match to have at Grand Slam. But I mean, if you really wanted to make it feel like a big deal, should have been hyped a little bit earlier on than this. And Kevin made the point too that we haven't even seen Kenny Omega compete on AEW yet in a match. He's been on New Japan. He's competed in New Japan, so it's just weird. Speaking of weird, I was excited for this Claudio and Jeff Jarrett match, but rightfully so. I think it's gotten some criticism of how the match was executed too. Like Claudio has been a refreshing aspect of this whole Death Riders angle. He's seemed to be the only guy that was like just a world beater, basically. Like, oh, how do you stop Claudio? He's the big enforcer of this whole group, and he's unstoppable. I appreciate the fact that they put Jarrett in a match with him. I wanted this down the road. This is what is this journey that they're taking on? They're taking us with Jeff Jarrett, and here they made it like instead of blurring this, making it seem like there was issues. And somebody on X made a great point that they had several ways that they could have executed this match and made it still a interesting story and things like that, where it's just like you could have had Jarrett lose clean. You could have. Now, would I have necessarily done that? Not for the story of the Last Outlaw. I would not have done that. But I would have done something where it was just like you didn't get a definitive, hey, Jarrett was set to win this match, but we got interference from Moxley. We got interference from, was it Utah? Was Wheeler Utah the other guy? And then and then ultimately that's how he lost the match. I would have had something where it was just like Jarrett and Claudio are maybe duking it out, and Jarrett's fighting from underneath, and Jarrett's finally mounting a comeback, but out comes MJF and he spoils the whole thing. Or out comes Moxley and spoils the whole thing. The match gets thrown out. So you don't really necessarily know, like, oh, did Jarrett really have a shot at Claudio? It almost protects both guys. It protects both guys. And, it's, so like Jarrett teasing that he was about to get the win on Claudio. I think you needed to protect Claudio in certain ways. And in turn, you might have I'm invested. I would be invested in this Jeff Jarrett storyline, but you would have a story that you can ride along here, pun intended, with Jeff Jarrett. So I think I don't think it was executed well. Tony Schiavone did a good job on commentary to kind of make it known that, hey, is this it for Jeff? So meaning, no, it's probably not. I think he'll get another shot. It's just going to be a different path, and we're going on this journey with him and MJF right now. And and then MJF comes out and attacks Jarrett after the fact. So yeah, I thought it was a fine match. I like these two together. I like their arm drag bit that they had going and stuff like that. So I thought that was a cool aspect of it all, but I don't know. It's just like there's this Death Riders angle is death. It sucks. I titled the episode too. What did I title this here? Enjoy the ride. I didn't put the D word in there because I don't know how YouTube accepts that. Do they take damn into play and then Like, is that gets diminished? I don't know. But either way, like, he tells you to enjoy the ride, and that was in a promo, so that was in something that was angled and stuff like that. So I'm more accepting of that stuff. But listen, nobody's enjoying this ride. It's not fun. It's not intriguing. There is no objective to this. We get that later in a promo with Moxley stating that, hey, the title doesn't matter. I'm the title, basically, is what he said. So John Moxley is the John Moxley champion. And so that is not a payoff. That is not an intriguing story. I mean, like, you're building people in regards in the same image as you, but making their journey worse, things like that. I want a little mystery there. I thought there was. Didn't we all think there was mystery behind this starting off? Like, who's behind the Death Riders? Why are they doing all this stuff? And then we get Wheeler Utah and Jay White. Jay White, isn't he a number one contender for the world title? He didn't feel like that. He just felt like a guy coming out here that has maybe some beef with the Death Riders. And, like, he gets the win against Wheeler Utah. It's a good match. It's all right. But it's also, like, kind of the same stuff. We get the Death Riders interfering at the end. And then we get Edge or Cope and FTR making the save. It made me really consider something. And it made me consider that, think about what you want about this Huntsville, Alabama crowd, home of Conrad, home of Top Guy Rumble this weekend, too. I hope everybody's having fun over there, all the ad-free shows people there. It's always a good time, Top Guy Rumble. I don't think I've been at it a couple of years because I think last year was at Huntsville, too, and I was not able to make it. So I hope everybody's having fun there. But either way, this crowd overall was not super-duper boisterous. You could hear some reaction in the crowd, but overall, the crowd itself was just kind of flat. And it made me think, hey, the product's kind of flat. You have stars, you have Ricochet, you have Will Ospreay, you have Swerve, you have Hangman Page, you have MJF, you have Mercedes Moné, even though she's not necessarily getting a huge reaction. I'm sure I'm missing some. Mariah May, Tony Storm. You have stars. But nobody is really in a program that you can get invested in. Oh, yeah, you have Kenny Omega. Like, they're in this lower tier storyline where it's the Don Callis family. Swerve and Ricochet are in a feud, but we're going to get a match next week. I appreciate the hype for it. I appreciate, them trying to dot I's, cross T's, but there's criticism that comes with that too. How much have we learned about AR Fox here? Look, he's been on television the past couple of weeks. Do we really know anything? If you're not familiar with his past, you don't know anything about this guy. They haven't done anything to make you, this is the history that they have with one another. Maybe they told some story on Collision. Maybe. I don't watch Collision. They are doing that. I will give them credit that they are making an effort to promote Collision more so in a fashion and get me to tune in, get a viewer that doesn't watch Collision to, hey, maybe I got to watch this now. And I think they did overall a pretty decent job on Dynamite promoting Collision. But here, it's like, don't know anything about really AR Fox if you're not familiar with his history. Oh, he has a history with Ricochet and Swerve. Why don't you have AR Fox tell us about that a little bit? Why don't you get us invested in AR Fox? Because this match that he had with Ricochet was good. He got the crowd into it. I think they got this is awesome chance. And it was a lot in credit to AR Fox because he is very athletic and he did some cool spots. But listen, they have not done their due diligence since they've had AR Fox on their roster to make him a character that we can get invested in. So, yes, the match was good with him and Ricochet, but that's not a big angle. John Moxley and the Death Riders, their feud is with Cope and FTR. Doesn't feel like a big deal. Doesn't. It feels like, because there's no payoff. There's no, what is the intent of the Death Riders here? So, excuse me, it made me think, what could AEW do to shock the system? To like, I'm almost thinking about this. Look at the hat I'm wearing right now. New York Jets. I love the team. Ever since 1998, Vinny Testaverde, Curtis Martin, Wayne Corbett, Aaron Glenn, new head coach. But what have they been missing? They've had the talent on the roster. They have the things in place, but the personnel, the ownership is not buttoned up or on the same page. You have to think, what do you do? What can you do to improve your product, improve your football team, or improve your pro wrestling show? And my thought, I immediately thought about, it took me a little bit to think about this. And I don't know how anybody else feels, but give me your feedback on this. Somebody that you can put in this main event program to make this thing feel like a bigger deal. And I think ultimately what you need to do is kill the Death Riders. Like, just end it. End this whole angle. And this is what you can do. You bring back Wardlow. Wardlow takes Moxley out. Wardlow comes in there. So maybe you have this program with Cope. Okay? Moxley beats Cope. Moxley almost takes Cope out for good. All right? Something like that. Next Wednesday on Dynamite, maybe even after the match. I would say next Wednesday on Dynamite, Cope is like all up in it. He's living it. His mission is coming into play, or whatever it is, making other Moxes out of everybody or whatever. And then you just have somebody that people were hyped for in the past that is younger, that is good looking, that has a history with some other talents that have charisma on the roster as well. And you bring Wardlow back. Do you tie him in with somebody legendary? Possibly. But I think you make sure, if you're Tony Khan, you make sure that you sign Wardlow to a multi-year deal. And this is considering that they're on the same page, which I don't think they are. I have no idea either way. But like, if I just from a perspective standpoint, I'm like, Wardlow he hasn't been used. He hasn't been talked about. He hasn't been anything. So, but if I'm Tony Khan, I would make this relationship right. Okay, I'm going to make another, and I made an Aaron Rodgers comparison yesterday too. But Aaron Rodgers, is he necessarily on the same page with Jets owner Woody Johnson? Doesn't maybe seem that way. But there's speculation, there's thought that, hey, they could still bring Aaron Rodgers back, because what else do they have at quarterback if they don't? So Aaron Glenn, he has not necessarily teased anything. He said either way, he's going to take a look at the roster and see how it goes. Well, if you're not on the same page with Wardlow, try to get on the same page, because guess what? If you're not, he's likely going to WWE when his contract is done. Same with Ricky Starks. Same with all this stuff. So you facilitate something. Make sure you give a vote of confidence to Wardlow. Be like, listen, we want to make you one of the primary guys in AEW, in the company. And we want to start this off right again. Here, sign this multi-year deal. We're going to make you one of the faces of this company. And we believe in you, and we want to make this right. Boom. You not only take Wardlow off the table from WWE, you have a star that people were familiar with, that people got behind organically. And you have him and the Death Riders. You have him carry that title. And then that's a vote of confidence for Wardlow. Then you have history with other people in the company. MJF is back. He wants that Triple B back. Boom. He's already had history with Wardlow. That seems like a fresh thing to do. Invigorates MJF. You have Jeff Jarrett still potentially in the wings as a seasoned vet looking for his last outlaw, last ride kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, Jake, I mean, if I'm Wardlow, I would be on pause to be like, listen, I don't know about this. Because what is the incentive? That's what I mean, is you have to give Wardlow that vote of confidence that you're going to be our guy. Okay. Here is the contract. But listen, that's the bed that AEW has made. They have not shown goodwill to some of their employees here. And, it takes two to tango. So like I said, I don't know all the details when it comes to some of these talents, but I do know if you're AEW as a company, you've had these talents on your roster. They at one point loved AEW. So why not lock a couple people in, make this right? Because right now as a company, there's nothing hot right now. This is a flat show. It gets good stuff. Some of the content's good. Uh, the wrestlers are stars and very talented, but I mean, and like, listen, the crowd is one thing. You're not going to get a hot crowd a lot of the time. Sometimes it just won't happen. But that also is an indicator that your product's not that hot. So what are you going to do? You cannot tread water here with two stars that were already established in a different company, John Moxley, Adam Copeland. Like both of them, I think they're both great. But look, it's just like, this is not something anybody's really sinking their teeth into, and there's no legs behind it. I just, there's a lot that I'm just not a fan of. What I am a fan of, though, is, hey, I'm a fan of Blue Chew. And Blue Chew, tried and true of a pro wrestling podcast. Have better sex with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets. This erection enhancing tablets help men achieve stronger, harder, and longer lasting erections for sexual activities. Oh, yeah. Blue Chew is great. I'm trying to find our little overlay here. Boom, here it is. Blue Chew. Yeah. So, Blue Chew is putting its money where its mouth is and offering you a month free. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the US of A, and prepared and shipped directly to your door. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The best part, it's all done online, so that means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Does it work? You'll be mistaken for a soldier with that full salute. Hey, now, Elon shooting you to Mars with that pocket rocket, calling you an Eagle Scout is the way you pitch a tent. Wow. Make life easier by getting call harder and discover your options at bluechew.com. We got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of Blue Chew free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And hey, Robert and I, Rumor and Innuendo, we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Absolutely. What I also loved on Dynamite, Mariah May. That promo was great. High quality stuff. Just the thing she did with Huntsville. Maybe we should replace it with the C. It was really funny. I also but the content of her promo about, like, hey, Toni Storm can play any role she wants to of Toni Storm, but I am the end game. I thought that was just great quality work. She's gorgeous. She's got a look about her. She's got a presence about her. The promo did not overstay its welcome. Really, really appreciated that. So I thought that was good stuff. Also, want to make a note, too. When it comes to John Moxley and his promos, he was interviewed by Renee, right? Yeah, that's his wife. So maybe think, why put Renee as a character in that awkward position to have to interview John Moxley? Why don't they make it, hey, okay, we're aware of this relationship between the two. We have Lexi Nair interviewing John Moxley instead. We got Alex Marvez interviewing John Moxley instead. Like, give us something that kind of separates that a little bit, because that dynamic just is weird when you're having her ask about the title and John Moxley's perspective on things. I mean, if you're husband and wife, don't you talk about this stuff? I don't know. Like, it took you out of, I think it took me out of it a little bit. I don't know how everybody else feels. But let me say this too. And Triple E just mentions them. I looked at the programming time when I was watching Dynamite this morning. It took an hour and 40 minutes for us to get anything regarding the Hurt Syndicate. Now, I know, that, like, you want to, like, try to focus everybody on the programming and things like that. And, but look, they just won the tag team championships. They are a big deal. And you just wait that long on your program to feature what should be a top act in your company right now. It did not make sense to me. Because look, every one of those guys, Shelton, MVP, Bobby Lashley, they're literally big. They look like a big deal. They act like a big deal. And that in turn will make your tag team champion, your tag team gold, feel like a big deal. But waiting an hour and a half to present them or even talk about them does not make it feel like a big deal. Don't really appreciate that. It's and as I said before, there another way that you could end this Death Riders thing is the Hurt Syndicate just takes over as your top faction, and then you just move the hell on from this because this is horrible. This is damaging, I think, to Jon Moxley. Like, I think Jon Moxley has been an amazing ambassador for AEW. What he's done has been really, really good for them. He's been the guy that they can lean on and rely on and things like that. So, and it seems like he's got a lot of creative freedom with this angle and everything, but it is not working. Not working. So, let me see here. Why would anyone believe a vote of confidence from Tony? Man wouldn't know confidence if it slapped him in the face. He just feared for his life. Look, well, that's kind of the thing is you have to cultivate relationships in pro wrestling. You have to be communicative. That's with anything. That's if you're in a personal relationship with somebody, communication's key. And, it doesn't seem like communication's all there. And Tony, from when I've met him and from like what you hear about him, and it's even CM Punk has said this, he's a nice guy. He's a great guy, and he's got a passion for the business, but it doesn't mean that you cannot delegate. You cannot delegate. You just gotta, there's a lot. Yeah. There's no reason to have confidence in what that's going for. If I was Wardlow, I'd be like, nah, I don't know. You got to offer me, number one, you got to offer me a lot of money. Number two, I need something written down where there is something where in place that I'm going to be featured on a regular basis, things like that. And I am an act that you will appreciate and that will be presented well. There's no reason to have necessarily a vote of confidence, Tony. Maybe with some people like Will Ospreay, I'm sure A-okay. Kenny Omega, hopefully. But do you think Kenny's really looking at this I'm not going to put, thoughts like Kenny's thoughts in that. But it's just like if you take a look at the lay of the land, it'd be hard to consider what Kenny's maybe thinking at this point when it comes to the company. So I don't know. Yeah, there's just a lot. The show overall, I think the past couple of weeks, AEW has been a pretty darn good show. But this one, it just seemed forgettable. The main event speaks to that too. I like Mercedes Moné. I like Yuki Sakazaki. I hope I'm saying that right. But I think, but again, like I said to Kevin yesterday, I completely forgot about her. I don't know who she was. Like when they first introduced her, and then now it's like we haven't seen her weeks on it. Well, I completely forgot she was on the roster. Two other women I forgot were on the roster. Ty Valkyrie and Deonna Purrazzo. They show up. They do a little promo. Good way to, if you want people to maybe tune on Collision, that's you're doing your work here, but it's just like your product flat. They're in a difficult position to try to, hey, not only tune in on Wednesday, but tune in on Saturday nights too. And so it's just like, and they're trying to do that with Toni Storm. They had a video package featured on her, and obviously they had the Mariah May promo here, but Toni Storm was not featured on Dynamite. She will be featured on Collision. The spoilers are already up somewhere if you into that kind of thing. But I don't know. It's like, and I will say, like, they gave me incentive to tune into Collision. I hear good things about Collision from a show presentation standpoint, and apparently Tony Khan is reportedly in the weeds when it comes to creatively booking this now. But it's just like they have work to do. And what they're doing for their primary angles, their primary storylines, I think it's a reflection. It is not clicking in stuff. And, you need some fresh stuff going on. And I think bringing somebody like a Wardlow back, somebody that is, like a Ricky Starks back again. Yeah. What is their relationship back there? To what all Jake's been saying and what others been saying too. Where's the vote of confidence? There isn't. Let's see. Let's take a look at some other content. Yeah. Jeroy J, I'm not going to put your comment up just because it has a curse word in it, but Jeroy J says it's a good video. Only thing that doesn't really help is booking the D Riders as inconsistent chicken S's after it. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing I consider too when it comes to the Death Riders. Again, I've mentioned this countless times. They are supposed to be the NWO, but they're chicken S's. The NWO felt like a legitimate threat to pro wrestling, to WCW, to the locker room. They took everybody out, and when they did take everybody out, people were stretchered out. People did not show up. There was concern amongst commentary. There's no concern amongst commentary when it comes to like what the Death Riders are doing. They're just part of the roster, and then they gang up. They come out as a crowd, and it's just like nobody fears them. Like they fight. Other people fight them. Like you're fighting them like 2-on, the numbers game, and it doesn't. No, they're not positioned in the right manner, and that's not a right positioned angle. It's horrible. It's really one of the worst angles I've seen in a long time. I don't know. I mean, like you think about what was it called in WWE? Retribution? Was that their team? That horrible faction that Vince was doing that ended up going nowhere. Was it Retribution? I don't remember. Do I want to remember? No, I don't. So, I mean, look, I liked AEW. And I do like AEW. I like Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's another guy that's in the mix that you can still kind of get something behind. But the thing is like, if you went back, okay, you reversed the tape. Marcus, my degenerate brother, and I, we did a show on WrestleZone called Two Dynamite Dudes, focused completely on Dynamite. Our excitement for the product was very unbridled. We were optimistic, hopeful, excited at the possibilities of who you bring in. Hey, are you bringing in Claudio? Are you bringing in Samoa Joe? Are you bringing in this person? Or where can this all line up? Stuff like that. Exciting stuff, exciting possibilities with angles. Kenny Omega as that Harley Race, like coked up champion was fun. And like I would go to bat for AEW a lot. Like, and then like I would go against what WWE was doing at the time. So it's not like I have ties to a company. I want to see both companies succeed. WWE is doing an amazing job right now. Like, I think they need to do something really, really intriguing to get people to really sink their teeth into WrestleMania, like in comparison to last year when it comes to what The Rock has been doing. But it's just like they have that possibility. There's so much intrigue. If you watch Raw, the wrestlers on there at least have a direction of some sort. Like, we know we might only see him a few times, like in here and there on the fringe, but we know what Pete Dunne's all about. We know what Chad Gable and American Alpha, oh my God, American Made is all about. Like, they are there, and there's a direction for them. So many of these stars or wrestlers that you have in AEW, they're, hey, let's insert this talent. They lose. See you later. No story behind him. No character. No background about him. It's an issue. It's an issue. Something they got to fix on. All right. That should do it for me. Let me see if there's anything else I'll take a look at your comments real quick. Let's see. There's a lot of criticism regarding Tony. Okay, we're talking about Jim Herd creative. Yeah, like I don't think it's necessarily fair to. Jake, I don't say he's the worst booker in pro. I think Tony Khan knows wrestling. I do think he does. I don't think his plate is too full. He's all over the place. Like, he's on Collision. He's worrying about Collision. He's worrying about Dynamite. He's worrying about pay-per-views. He's with soccer teams. He's with the Jaguars. He's constantly going. That's the issue. He's not delegating. I think he's a good booker. I don't think it's fair to compare him to Jim Herd. Jim Herd was just an outsider that didn't know crap about wrestling. Tony Khan is smart with wrestling. I think he's got his interest is genuinely invested into it. His heart's in it, but it's just delegate. All right, let's see what else we got. Is there? I think that should do it. Yeah, that'll do it. I'll be back tomorrow. Wait, I might not be back tomorrow, actually. There might not be a show tomorrow because I'm going back to my hometown, Ridgeway, PA. Haven't been there in almost a year, so it'll be cool to see some familiar faces and experience some old time stuff. Get out of the city of Pittsburgh for a little bit. So, likely won't be a show tomorrow, but it'll be fun to. Oh, geez, if that's the case, I should have previewed Royal Rumble. Okay, my quick predictions for Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair wins the women's. CM Punk wins the men's. The title match is Cody and Kevin. So Cody retains there. Storyline development, I think we get Cena will get close to winning, but he won't. That's not much of a crazy prediction, right? What else is on the card here real quick? Let me just take a look at the card, and then we'll tackle it that way. Royal Rumble. Early predictions from me. Card. Boom, boom. Boom. Okay, Royal Rumble. Undisputed Championship. Huh. This other site is giving some weird predictions. Okay, so DIY taking on the Motor City Machine Guns, 2 out of 3 falls. I think you need to keep the titles on DIY. Tell more of a story with them, so I think they retain. I think that's it. That's it. So my predictions right now: CM Punk wins the men's. Charlotte Flair returns and wins the women's. And then Cody Rhodes retains. And DIY retains. So there you go. Those are my predictions. That is it. Yeah, only 4 matches. That's what I'm seeing. Triple E is making a bold statement. R-Truth and Raquel win the Rumbles. Don't think that's happening. Oh, Albzy says Drew is winning the Rumble. I wouldn't be against that. I like Drew. Tonight, yes, thank you, Triple E. Tonight, tune in, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Meet and RVD. We'll be going live on rvdtv.com, on OneTrueSportTV.com. Should be an interesting follow-up considering all the fallout that happened with Bobby Fulton and that whole story of big-time wrestling and Rob's troubles with that promotion and that promoter. So if you've been following along online, it's been a crazy, wild ride. So I'm sure we'll be covering a good deal of that tonight. So rvdtv.com, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is usually when we start the show. That's our rough start time. So tune in there, but get in early at 9 p.m. and we'll do a little chatting maybe beforehand. So that's what we got going on. And thanks everybody for tuning in. If you also shortly will be the new Working Stiff episode will be posted. So keep open up that. Robert and Scott got to discuss Dynamite. And so you'll get Robert's thoughts on Dynamite, even though he's not here. So be sure to subscribe to Working Stiff podcast feed. Also, give us 5 stars, Rumor and Innuendo, on Spotify or Apple. And in turn, also give Working Stiff 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. Same with RVD. One of a kind with RVD. But should be fun. Excited for the Royal Rumble, one of my favorite pay-per-views. I hope I get to watch it live at some point when I'm in Ridgeway. We'll see how it goes. Maybe we can get a little Rumble pool started. But we'll see how it goes. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Dre, Wrestling Old Head. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Wrestling Old Head predicts Bianca and Punk. That's an interesting one, too. But thank you, everybody. Jeff Henninger. And that should do it, huh? All right. Thanks, guys. Best of luck in your future endeavors. And let's go Bucks. Pittsburgh Pirates. Right in the thick of baseball season.